Good evening and welcome to the big story on NDTV Profit. I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. Now, just in the course of the past week, we've had 11 incidents of what is known as digital arrest being reported. Sample this. On the 26th of November, 4 cases were reported. A senior citizen was scammed of 3.8 crore rupees in Mumbai. A woman in Noida lost 34 lakh rupees after receiving fake ED notices. And an IIT Powai student lost 7.29 lakh rupees. On the 21st of November, a techie in Pune was scammed of 6.29 crore rupees. The list goes on. But what's worrying is that the modus operandi of these cyber criminals, scamsters posing as police officers or officers of investigative agencies such as the ED, the Narcotics Department or tax officials, get in touch with innocent victims and work their way through their vulnerabilities to scam them. We begin with one such victim who narrates her ordeal to NDTV Profit. Identities of victims have been concealed on their request.
So on 4th of May at around 5 o'clock, I received a call saying that I'm so-and-so from FedEx company, and one parcel that has been sent in your name to a foreign address has been confiscated by the customs, and it has some illegal drugs and passports and clothes and documents, and you will be arrested. If it is not you who has done it, you have the right to report theft of identity, and if you want to do so, I will transfer you to a cyber crime line. And that's how then he mentioned that he's transferring the call. It was properly a dial tone and everything, as in whenever whoever transfers the call, and the call got transferred, is what he said. And then a person posing as the crime branch officer came in a uniform and told me that he's taking down the case. He gave me his badge number. He said he's from Baikala police station and this and that. And then he said, you will be under digital arrest till proven innocent, and we feel you are innocent, but you will have to cooperate with us. Then I told him that my husband is also with me, and then he said that both of you download Skype because that's a safer platform. And then we received a call from an ID which clearly had CID mentioned with a logo of crime branch, and we were asked to be under surveillance for 24/7 on video, and if one of our video was getting cut, the other person had to show the person whose video has got cut on his phone. So then they started asking us questions. They gave us the name of a person and asked if we have ever come in contact with him. They said that in addition to this, he has used our My Aadhaar and opened account in HDFC in which there is more than 6 crore money of laundering money there, and I will have to prove that all the money that I have with me is white money and it can be traced easily. And they were sending me arrest warrants with CID seals, with investigation officers' signatures. They were sending me ED notices. They were giving me receipts of the money if I transfer them any money, because I didn't have any cash ready like that, right? I'm a middle-aged, middle-class woman, so I had it invested at different places. So first they made me transfer my saving account amounts, then they made me transfer my fixed deposits, and then they made me liquidate my mutual funds and transfer those.
In fact, we have another victim who lost about 2 crore rupees, and he begins by telling us how it all panned out.
I received a phone call from a courier company stating that the courier which I had sent the day before had some drugs in it. So, this was actually I had sent one courier just the day before to my daughter. So it was a coincidence, unfortunately, and then so I had believed them. Then this call was passed on to the police, stating that they were the police CID branch, and they told me you come on Skype. So when I came on Skype, they started speaking to me, and they told that there are many. I told, see, I am innocent. I never sent any drugs, and I never even seen any drugs in my life. So they told this is a very common embarrassing complaint everybody's doing. So I'll just pass on to my senior officer. And I saw a senior officer with his name and badge and everything, very visible, with the national emblem behind him, the flags on his table, everything. It looked like very genuine to me. Later on, they told, okay, we'll cut the call. We will come back to you after 1 day. So then the next day, they actually started taking how much money I have in my account and all. So because this is also a money laundering case, they showed me one letter on the video stating that you are accused of money laundering, and this can lead to digital arrest. And in the thing, it was signed by the police officer who was the senior police officer who was there, and also copy to two other people. And this was done, and then they told, okay, you have to get your accounts together, and then we will then tell you what needs to be done. So for me to gather all my thing, it took about 10 days, and then I transferred first about 1 crore rupees to 2 different accounts, and then another 1 crore 18 lakhs to another 4 accounts.
Well, in fact, that brings us to the 3 big questions that we are asking this evening. Question number 1, what does a digital arrest scam actually mean? How does digital arrest work? Question number 2, how can you protect yourself from being scammed? And the 3rd big question that we're asking this evening, do we need more stringent cyber crime laws? And to answer all those questions and to tell us a bit more about this digital arrest scam, joining me on the broadcast this evening is Mr. Yashashvi Yadav. He's the Special IGP of the Maharashtra Cybercrime Department. Mr. Yadav, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us on The Big Story. To begin with, right, Mr. Yadav, to begin with, for all our viewers who are joining in, explain to us, how does this digital scam actually work, and how can one protect oneself from actually being scammed in this manner? Because the list of the number of people who have been held under digital arrest is long, and it's extremely alarming.
Yeah, I fully endorse the view that digital arrest is one of the sophisticated scams that is even scalping very well-educated people, even officers. But the premise is that there is nothing called digital arrest in law. There's no provision of digital arrest by any law enforcement agency, be it police, CBI, ED, or income tax, etc. So whoever says that you are under digital arrest means he's scamming you. So the moment he says that, please report his phone numbers, his details, his modus operandi to helpline numbers of your law enforcement agency. For example, in Maharashtra, it can be resorted to helpline number 1930 or 14407. So this is very important. Secondly, the kind of sophistication is amazing. It's almost incredible. There are police officers, exact names. In one of the digital arrests, my name was used. And uniforms are spick and span when the people come on video. Even courts are being replicated with visitors, with judges, lawyers, etc. So the person would definitely feel that there is an arrest warrant or there is a threat of arrest against him or her, and they don't ask for bribe. They just ask money to be deposited in an account as a surety. So the person thinks that this is actually authentic law enforcement action taking place, and parts with hard-earned money, which is definitely, and the only way to fight it is awareness. Like you have invited me to this program, similar kind of awareness drives should be undertaken. And once people are aware that digital arrest is just a kind of an artificial phenomenon created by these greedy scammers, I think the phenomenon will lose its steam.
All right. Now, what does one do if they feel that they are becoming a victim of this scam, and if you've lost your money? Because that is one of the primary concerns that is coming forward. And we've spoken to victims, and they seem to suggest that once the money is transferred out of their account, it is then transferred several times, and even the police at this point are unable to track it.
Yeah, there are 2-3 issues in this also. Number one, the make-believe is so real that the person parts with the money. Now, as soon as the victim realizes that he has lost the money, the first thing he should do is to dial 1930 number across the country. 1930 number is a financial helpline which blocks the accounts where the money is, it freezes the account where the money is transferred. So there is a possibility of money returning to the victim. It not only freezes the first layer of account, wherever the money goes, it freezes until and unless it is withdrawn. So it could be third level, fourth level, even 10th level, where the money is going, the account will be frozen, and with a court order or with a law enforcement agency order, this money is reverted back to the account of the victim. For instance, this year, Maharashtra Cyber Department has returned more than 500 crore rupees to the gullible victims, and they had heaved a sigh of relief. But again, this all depends on first few minutes. Earlier, it was one first golden hour. Now, I would say first few minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, you must report so that the accounts are frozen successfully. Secondly, please be aware. When we drive a car, we are aware of the traffic rules. Similarly, when we go on an information superhighway or internet, awareness is the buzzword. So that because every day new modus operandi of scamming is coming. Digital arrest is also now passé. Now virtual kidnapping cases are coming up.
All right. Also, Mr. Yadav, a final question to you. Do you think we need a more consolidated set of cybercrime laws? Because at this point, we seem to be playing catch up to scamsters. As you yourself said, there is a new scam that's on the rise. What's your sense on that?
See, India's cybercrime laws are not up to the mark, not up to date. They are anachronistic to some extent. Because the last time IT Act, Information Technology Act was amended was 2008. Since then, there has been no change in India's cybercrime laws. Now, 2008, the landscape of cybercrime was so much different, was massively different from what it is now. For instance, there was no digital arrest, there was no sextortion, there was no ransomware, which are the most prevalent cybercrimes present now. So the law has to change. The law has to incorporate new forms of cybercrime, new modus operandi, and it has to become more stringent. For instance, very few offenses in IT Act are non-bailable. Most of the offenses are bailable. So this creates less deterrent in the mind of cybercriminals. Add to it phenomena like cryptocurrency, darknet, VPNs. Criminals think that they have full anonymity and they will never be caught, but that's a myth.
Mr. Yadav, I know you're a busy man. Thank you very much for taking out the time to speak to us on NDTV Profit, and we'd like to, catch up with you once again and have more detailed views of yours. But thank you for the moment for joining us on the big story on NDTV Profit.
Thank you, Nupur, and this will go a long way in creating awareness about these scams.
Thank you. Now, apart from the financial loss, a scam like this also causes a great deal of mental trauma that can scar people. Now, one of the victims told us about how shaken she is by this ordeal.
So as I told you, it's devastating. What it does, it takes away your dignity, because it's not an easy thing to be watched by somebody for 10 days in your own home. Because I was not allowed to use any social media, I was not allowed to watch TV, I was not allowed to interact freely with my own family. So in today's age, imagine what it must be like for 10 days to live like that, and be missing your work for 10 days, giving excuses when you're working in a senior position, risking your job. So thankfully my workplace was very supportive, but that when afterthoughts start coming in, I had sleepless nights. I had to take some medication for that. I had to take mental counseling to come out of it. But what helped me to come out of it was that, yeah, maybe it was my mistake that I did not cut the phone. But beyond that, maybe they're so well organized that I could not help but to fall a victim. And they have ruined my past, but I will not let them ruin my future. Because every time you lose your self-worth and lose your confidence and go depressed, you give them more power, is what I realize. But it is very, very difficult. And what also is very difficult for people who are victims like me is being judged by the community around, by being judged by the people, which also stops people from spreading awareness that this has happened to me, and please be careful that this doesn't happen to you. People don't come out and speak about it because that sense of shame, that how can somebody like me fall a victim to such a thing that sounds so stupid to myself now when I go back and think about what all things I agreed to do.
All right, and to discuss the psychological impacts of these scams, we are now joined by Harish Shetty, the psychiatrist. Mr. Shetty, thank you very much for being with us. Mr. Shetty, you just heard one of our victims speak about the loss of dignity she felt, and we're going to come to that in a bit. But first of all, I want to understand from you, how do scamsters actually operate in terms of the psychological tricks that they employ? Another victim we spoke to seemed to suggest that they felt that they were under a hypnosis of some sort.
There is angst across the world. All of us are anxious for a million things. Those families who are disconnected and don't talk about their lives with their trusted ones or with their safe spaces, and they keep themselves alone, our probability of them become victims are much higher. Single women are bigger victims. I remember this lady who was a chartered accountant. She lost 7 lakhs at night, and she was groomed by a cyber criminal across time. But she never reported it to the police. She said, I'm ashamed that I have been conned. So angst make people very suggestible. And once the scamsters use very sophisticated equipment, which makes them believe that these are cops, these are EDs, and then you isolate yourself. So those who are isolated, lonely, disconnected, and think that they actually not want to share, they fall victim. Now, these criminals are like stage actors. They look at the icons, the images which they have to show, and the words exactly which the police uses, words exactly which the CID uses, words exactly which the judge uses, and the law sections also exactly as they use. And they invent a new phrase, digital arrest. Maybe this phrase will not last for long, and they might invent newer phrases. But the point is, the preventive aspect is, be connected with a safe space. Share when such things happen, or if somebody has been through those things, listen to them. Share your banking activities with each member of the family. And see to it that you look at all preventive measures which has been stated by the Maharashtra Cyber Fraud Department. And when you are connected, when you have a safe space wherein you are emotionally nude, the chance of you being scammed is much less. Number two, I have been told by cyber security cops, there was a lady cop in Bombay who headed the cyber security division. They said all those who are scammed are educated people, but all the scamsters are 10th pass and 12th pass. So the point is, the criminals who used to use the gun or the knife to snatch money or Mangal Sutra are using their brain. And the brain is very devious, and they have found, they have tested blood by 1 or 2 victims, and they do. So innovation in cybercrime happens across time, and people like us have to build emotional defense systems, cyber defense systems within us by connectivity, education, awareness, and learning from others' mistakes. So that's how it is. It's not hypnosis. It is we become strongly suggestible by the words
Okay.
used.
Now, Mr. Shetty, I also wanted to understand from you, how do people who have been through this ordeal now deal with this loss of sense of self-worth? As we just played out what the victim said, she feels a sense of shame of how could this happen to me? How does one deal with it?
I think number one, I would address their close members of the family. Don't make fun of them. Don't say you are educated and you still did all this. And that's number one. Number two, we should deal with it as if he or she has met with a physical accident. And that is infinite compassion, unconditional compassion. This is a cyber accident, just like we don't shout at somebody who has met with a physical accident. We don't say, where were you looking when the car hit you? We don't say, where was you? What were you doing when the bike hit you? Similarly, we need to understand this is an accident of the mind. We need to show complete compassion. We need to support them as if it's an accident, number one. Number two, please do not share it with everybody, but share it with those whom you trust, who will never judge you. And be in their arms or be in their safe spaces, just like you would do if somebody has died in your house or you've been through any catastrophe. Number three, if you get a lot of thoughts, lot of intrusive thoughts, images of the cops, images of the ED guy, images of the courtroom, and that would not go, it is important to go to a clinical psychologist who knows how to handle trauma. And if that fails, temporarily you may have to take medications. But some of them who have been conned, and I've handled them, they already had baggages from the past. They were depressed, they were anxious, they were single, and they had other issues. And so this fraud compounded that, and this fraud was the last stop on the camel's back, and they broke down. So we need to look at the baggage. We need to look at the state of mind at that point of time. We need to look at the support systems which exist for this person, and we need to use the support systems which are healthy, which are rational, to bring the person back. Sleep, appetite, and shame, fear has to be handled first. Now, the loss of money is also a big trauma. How will I get this money back? I have saved this money for my future. A lot of elderly people have been duped with all their savings. So at that point of time, just like I conducted a support group for victims of Hardik Mehta's,
Absolutely.
not Hardik, Harshad Mehta scam. We need to have a support group for them so that they all come together and define and decide their future.
Absolutely.
I like what the girl said, that I will not allow them to affect my future.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And as you're pointing out, these are all things that we can all do together in terms of forming support groups and, of course, giving out more awareness as much as we can. Thank you very much, Mr. Shetty, for joining us on The Big Story this evening.
Thank you, Nupur.
Well, with that, it is a wrap on The Big Story. Thank you for joining us. You're watching NDTV Profit, and do stay with us for more.